Hey guys, welcome back. If you watched my video yesterday, you know I titled it The Memory Trap. Because during yesterday's slide with Micron and with the Fab 4, we saw so many pundits, so many analysts start to question the memory trade and wonder if it was finally starting to lose some steam. And the retail sentiment during that time, it was definitely leaning cautious during the dip. But the whale behavior was completely different. When we reviewed the block trades and the institutional flow data, you could clearly see it was nothing more than institutional stop-loss hunting and good old-fashioned profit-taking. There was not a fundamental shift in the trend. Today, that trap was sprung. And Micron in the market today, it not only gained back everything it lost yesterday, but it gained back more, and it actually made history. The move was so strong today that it pushed the company past the $900 billion market cap for the first time in its history. And we saw the fundamentals hit back strong today with a massive new price target from Bank of America, as well as a totally new forecast, the market forecast for the AI data centers. So we'll review all of that in today's video. And I'm also going to do a deep dive, a forensic review of the Micron candle pattern. We'll take a look at what's happening in the after hours. And of course, we have to show you the billions of dollars that crossed over the line in the dark pool after the market closed. And then we'll finally move out. We'll see what's going on in Seoul. I'll give you a Samsung update. What's happening with the strike right now? What could it mean for the sector? What could it mean for Micron? What could it mean for SanDisk overall? What will it mean tomorrow when the opening bell rings that Thursday? And then the last piece, make sure you don't miss it. I'm going to introduce you to a new stock, a stealth titan that has gone parabolic recently. In fact, it's been parabolic the entire year. It's very differentiated. It's a stock that you should be considering. You should be looking at and potentially adding to your portfolio if it makes sense for you. But make sure you stay to the end of the video. Make sure you pick up that new name and that recommendation from me. But guys, if you stayed disciplined yesterday and you just followed the signals and blocked out the noise, today was your vindication. Congratulations, because that conviction that you demonstrated, it got you paid today. It's exactly what we want to do in this channel. It's what we preach here. Block out the noise, trust the signals, follow the fundamentals. Today was your payday if you showed that level of conviction. So guys, if you haven't done it already, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all your support. So let's take a look at what we saw with the NASDAQ 100 today. You can clearly see very different story than we saw yesterday. A lot of green on the board. We know yesterday the tech stocks got hit. Today, very different sentiment overall. You can see Micron right here in the middle at about a 5% growth, 4.8. We can see also down below Western Digital and Seagate were up over 1% today, but NVIDIA was up, Apple, Google, Meta, very different day across the board. AMD still flat, Intel still flat as well, but the picks and shovels had a nice day across the board today. Let's dive in though and look at what exactly we did see let's do that forensic candle deep dive that I mentioned with Micron. So guys, a couple things right out of the gate. We know we kind of ended a little bit, and let me pull you back. I mean, obviously we had a little bit of a dip for sure. If you remember, we had this V reversal. This was yesterday's performance where we had a dive and we had that V reversal in the afternoon that kind of gave a very bullish signal for us that there was support. It was coming back. It was a great way to finish the afternoon session. We know overnight we saw the stock continue to rally, get support in the after hours and the pre-market based on a number of different factors. I think the Samsung story, the fact that the strike is still ongoing, that it hasn't been settled, and I'll get to that in a moment in the video, that certainly drove some positive sentiment for Micron. I think their new product that they launched, the 256 gigabyte DDR5 module that they're sampling and what that can mean in the market was another positive sentiment for the stock. So we saw a huge gap up right out of the gate. You could see it here. It jumped actually to the high of the day. It got to about $8.15 a share in the first 5 minutes. We saw a little bit of pullback, but just a little bit of this kind of digestion here, sideways move in the first hour or so of trading. Found some support again. We hung up over. We crossed the 800 level multiple times today, right? So we started to break through 800. We got up to 814. Still haven't got up to that 818 level that we saw the other day. That's still the 52-week high for the stock. But we're breaking through that 800 ceiling consistently overall. Now I think 795 is the support floor for the stock overall. We kind of got that next level move up. And you could see, found a little bit of, just some profit taking, probably again, a little what we saw in the market. But if you just kind of look across the board, if we drew a line here, you could see it It's just a nice sloping upward turn where, again, we have higher highs, higher lows as we move throughout the day. Finished really strong, had a bit of a profit taking here at the end of the day to finish just over 803 or so for the day. But I want to call a couple things out too. As you look at the volume across the board, strong, but look at the RSI. That's one piece that I definitely want to call out for us, because we've seen this RSI get overextended, we'll call it. We've seen it be hot, and it's been hot because this has been such a strong sector. We're in this super cycle, the structural change overall, but it is definitely cooled off. If you kind of take a look at it right now, and why to me this is a positive move, because we're looking at a stock that picked up over $36 today. The RSI is sitting at 49. It's perfectly neutral. This means that the move today was driven by real buying pressure, not just technical exhaustion. We have plenty of oxygen left in the stock for a continuation tomorrow. That's kind of how I read it across the board. And if you want to kind of just to see proof of why I feel that way and what the support was in the after hours, let's just take a look at some of the block trades. There's some things I definitely want to call out in here for you. But the first thing is, let's look at that closing cross. And you can see it right here on the board, 2.2 billion. Typical now for Micron. We see these massive closing crosses just because of, it just some of the funds repositioning overall across the board. But 2.8 million shares. The nice part is it's at the 803.63. All right, so this is a strong sign. You can kind of see where the bid and the ask was. So above the ask, 803.63 across the board. We had some massive moves after as well. If you look over, I think well over, what are we looking at? 800 million here. Oh, excuse me, 800,000 shares. Here's the millions. We're looking at about 620 or so, 625 million in the after hours here. Just after the market close, 403, 456. And guys, I had this market chameleon data filtered to anything bigger than 10 million. That's why you see the times jump so much. There's many more smaller trades that occurred in the after hours or throughout the day than these. But I just wanted to make it easier and really just look at the big ones. So guys, here, another 600 plus million at 803.63 across the board. So we saw those moves, not only the closing cross, but we also saw that the bulls didn't stop there. They kept buying that 456 buy for 375 million at that closing price of 803.63. It suggests that the big money is still positioning for a gap up tomorrow with Micron. And even if you look down at the bottom, you can see a couple of different things I'll call out. One is here. Let's take a look at this one here before the closing cross. We got about 1:50 p.m. for about 480 million, 600,000 shares. That one is sitting at 798.99. So kind of in that support floor, I think now for the stock. Clearly, we're sitting in that 795 to 798 level. I believe is the new support floor overall. So that is a strong sign that even during the day while the stock was trading, this was clearly a contingent trade that was executed at that price point, showing that every time the stock tried to dip below 800, a whale was there to soak up. You soak up those shares, and we had nearly $500 million in supply get soaked up right in that one trade. And even if we look down at the first row down there at the bottom at the opening, you can see a $431 million trade right at the opening bell for $812.80. And while the price retracted slightly from that open, the fact that nearly $500 million traded at $812 within seconds of the bell tells you exactly where the smart money sees the value for this stock. This isn't an institutional, this was an institutional commitment at its finest today, what we see in the after hours. They are not just watching a recovery. They are clearly funding the recovery. They are supporting this stock. And you ask, why did it move so aggressively today? A few things. So I'm going to pull this one up. Oh, first, let's take a look at what's happening right now in the after hours. So you can see where the stock finished today, 803.16. Up over $36, I mentioned, just under 5%. But in the after hours, we have another $2.43. So we're getting closer to 806 right now. We've got to keep our eye on that. But clearly, the sentiment is positive for the stock right now. So the reason for these changes, a couple things. This article right here, I mentioned in the opening, I have to cover it. So Bank of America, it raised the AI data center market forecast to 1.7 trillion by 2030. This was a huge positive sentiment for the stock. And let me just walk you through some of the things that Bank of America called out. So first, Bank of America has increased its forecast for AI data centers, the market for it, to approximately 1.7 trillion by 2030, up from a previous estimate of 1.4 trillion, 1.4 trillion, representing a 45% compound annual growth rate. They also raised the accelerator outlook roughly 1.2 trillion from 1 trillion, driven by increased hyperscaler custom ASIC shipments, including Google's TPUs, AWS Trainiums. The data center server CPU forecast increased to approximately 110 billion, with AI CPUs accounting for 88 billion, up from 80 billion. The AI networking outlook rose to around 316 billion from 240. That's a big jump right there from that one. But here is the bullish sign of the bullish price target. When I said a massive new price target from Bank of America. So Bank of America raised its price target from Micron from 500 to 950 based on the sum of its parts valuation. So if you look at the next sentence, the new target values the sustainable AI and HBM business at approximately 240 per share, and the traditional DRAM and NAND business at roughly 710 per share. So guys, this is just another example of the stocks moving up. And we know, let's see if it's reflected in here. Sorry for jumping so fast. So there it is. Bank of America is at 950. We see DA Davidson at 1,000, Deutsche Bank at 1,000. It's exactly what we discussed. What we were going to see these stocks continued, or see Micron and its price point, its price target continue to climb as it gets re-rated in real time in the market. And that's exactly what we saw with Bank of America today. So let's go in and just talk about the other pieces of the supply story, or the supply saga out of Seoul that we've talked about. There really is no updates. I want to show you this just because this is the sentiment, right? Micron tops 900 billion. How Samsung strike could help the chip maker. Talked about not only helping Micron, but also helping SanDisk. But here's the piece I want to get to, because Samsung, I think this is their only move. And I want to talk about this because like I said in yesterday's video, the strikes have, the negotiations have failed. I told you yesterday there was a marathon, a 17-hour negotiation session that failed. I haven't seen anything in the news that suggests otherwise. They clearly are still looking for that 15% of operating profits, the union. So the latest reports now is that Samsung is actually trying to use court injunctions to keep essential workers in the fabs. And they are talking to the South Korean government, invoking this emergency adjustment authority to force people back to work. Barron's reported earlier today that this labor unrest is a direct boon for Micron, as well as SanDisk. And this isn't about a one-day pop. It's a fundamental shield for Micron. And it's fundamental shield for Micron's stock price as customers scramble to secure supply. We talked about how the hyperscalers were starting to build some contingency plans in place. If the world's largest producer can't keep the lights on, if Samsung does go on strike, the pricing power for Micron's new product, their 256 gigabyte DDR5 and their HBM modules, the pricing power for that will go through the roof. Guys, I promised you I was going to give you a breakout story for today. So let's jump into that, because we saw a lot of massive moves today on the market. I want to pull this up because what you see here is you clearly see the stocks that had the biggest change today. And Micron was there. Micron was right here. It's up $37 here on Yahoo Finance. You can see that, it's a little different, investing.com, but nevertheless, it's $8.03, about 5, we'll call it 5%. We see Lumentum was big. Applied Optoelectronics, you guys know I'm a massive believer in that. I have it in my AI stack. It had a huge day today, 18.5%. But the stock I want to talk to you about is Tower Semiconductor. So it trades at $270 a share. It's had a massive day today. It was up almost $50 today, 22%. But if we just look at the stock of where it's been, look in the after hours, it's another 5% right now. So Tower Semiconductor, if you just look across the time frames, for the past month, it's up 20%. 6 months, 154%. 1 year, the stock is up over 500%. I'm not sure if many of you know Tower Semiconductor. If you do, drop it in the comments below. If you own it in your portfolio, drop it in the comments below and let me know. But to me, I wanted to recommend this stock to you because they are very different than others in the market. Tower is the stealth leader in Silicon Photonics, the technology that uses light to move data between those high-speed memory modules that we talk about in this channel. And what makes Tower Semiconductor special isn't just that they make chips. It's what they make and where they sit in the supply chain. Other big players and big names like Lumentum, Coherent, and Applied Optoelectronics, they're component players, meaning they build and sell finished optical modules. Tower, on the other hand, they are a specialized foundry. They actually manufacture the advanced silicon photonic chips that these modules depend on. They are the picks and shovels play for this sector. And those other companies, they compete with each other when they're trying to win contracts for Microsoft and Google. But they almost always have to knock on Tower's door to get their high-end silicon photonics chips that they build. Tower is differentiated because they own the proprietary process that integrates lasers and optical components directly onto the silicon wafers. It's a technical hurdle most other foundries haven't cleared. And they are moving fast right now because we are entering the 1.6 terabit transceiver era. And as AI clusters grow, copper wires just can't keep up, and optical is truly the only solution. Tower has reported a 96% surge in operating profit, and they have a $1.3 billion contract backlog for 2027 alone. When you see a foundry like Tower Semiconductor move 22% in a single day, it tells you that the smart money is moving down the supply chain to find their next parabolic runner. Keep Tower Semiconductor on your radar. It is moving fast right now. It's moving from an under-the-radar player to a must-own player in all of our portfolios. So I would seriously have you consider it. Take a look at the stock. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you already own it. Right now, after that 22%, it's sitting at about 270. To me, I think in the short term, this stock could easily get to 295, 300, particularly as it clears the previous 52-week highs. Long term, based on the projected revenue of $2.8 billion by 2028 and their dominance in the light speed connectivity market, a realistic long-term for this long-term price target for this stock is anywhere between 420 to 450, especially if they maintain that current $1.2 billion cash cushion to fund further expansion for the company. So guys, in closing, what do we expect for tomorrow? I'm watching with Micron that 814 level, today's high. If we can clear that in the first hour of trading, the path to 850, in my opinion, is wide open for Micron. Our support floor now, as I mentioned, is about 798, 795 to 798. I do believe that's a new support floor. It's the exact level that is needed for this stock to maintain that $900 billion valuation that we saw them make today, the history we saw them make today. Today's theme was about recovery. Tomorrow's theme is about discovery with Micron. But I would expect we could see some volatility in this market, but don't lose your conviction. The Samsung strike situation is a live wire. It's a fluid situation that could send memory prices higher at any moment. Today was a reminder that in this market, the fundamentals are our shield. We saw a $900 billion milestone get hit today from Micron, that market cap play. We saw a $950 price target from Bank of America. And we saw the emergence of this new powerhouse that I just went through, Tower Semiconductor overall. So stay disciplined, block out the noise, keep your eyes out for the signals that we see in the market. The momentum is clearly with the bulls right now. Stay data-driven. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys have a great